Hey guys, quick question. Do you ever have a picture like this that you just want to remove the background so you can make something that looks like this? In today's tutorial, I'm going to give you 3 options to show you how you can remove a background from any picture in either a beginner, intermediate, or advanced skill levels. So let's go. Hey, what's up? It's Andy. If we're just meeting for the first time on my channel, I talk about tech, tips, tricks, tutorials, and sometimes product reviews. So if you're into that, please go check out the channel and consider subscribing. You know, since I started my own YouTube channel, you learn some new skills, video editing, some photo editing, and some friends started asking me, how do you remove the background from your images and make these really cool thumbnails? Well, it's really simple. There is a lot of software out there that you can use, some for free, some you probably already have, but you didn't know they had this ability. Well, we're going to cover 3 easy options, one for beginner, intermediate, and advanced skill levels to show you how you could easily remove that background from your image for whatever you want to use it for. So to do this today, we're going to do this in tutorial style. So we're going to jump over to the computer and get going. So here you see I have my 2 images, the one that I already showed you. So it's a picture of yours truly. And this is the one we're gonna, this is what we're gonna drive to. This is the result. This is what we want. So you can see if I open both of these side by side, you can see obviously the one on the left is the original. And the one on the right is what we want as the end result. So how do we do this? Well, like I said, we'll start at the beginner level. So we're going to open a web browser here. And I'm going to go to remove.bg. Remove.bg is a free website that you could quickly upload any picture to, and it will try to use some built-in artificial intelligence and remove the background automatically. There's really nothing for you to do. You will have some fine-tuning options, and I'm going to show you that right now. So the file I started with was an HEIC. That's a high efficiency video photo file from the iPhone. If you have one of those, you can quickly convert it to JPG on your Mac using Preview. If you don't have a Mac, you're using a Windows computer, that's fine. Just go in the photo settings or the camera settings on your iPhone rather, and change it to make sure you're not using that high efficiency file format. I say that because that's not compatible with remove.bg. If you do get stuck with that HEIC and you forget, that's fine. Just give it a try, and it will tell you it only accepts JPEGs or PNG files. So you will need to convert if you haven't changed your settings already. So I created this JPG, so I'm gonna go ahead and upload it. And then once you do, remove.bg will instantly remove the background. See, I didn't have to do anything. So, and then you do have some editing options. So say I want to add a custom fun background. How about this one? I'm in the forest, jungle, whatever that is. How about this one? This one's better. So you can do that, have a little fun that way, or add some color, just play around. Maybe you don't want anything. Oops. And you can either erase or just go back that way. Okay, so here the removed background image with this, you see this checkered background, that is just a default setting to show you that it's transparent. So there's nothing in the background. I'm gonna show you that here. Now, I told you this was free software and this is the very beginner pro level, but there is a limitation here. If you wanna use the free version, you will get stuck with a low res image quality, as you see here, 577 by 433. If you want that full res of the original image quality, you will have to pay. So, but if you're creating maybe the end result is something that's only going to be a small resolution anyway, this might be fine. So go ahead and download that when you're done. It's in my downloads. And there you go. If I open up Preview, you can see the background is now gone. So very simple. Okay, now we're going to jump into the intermediate level, and now we're going to use a program that we all are very too familiar with, and that's PowerPoint. Yep, PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm on a Mac, but it works exactly the same here. Go ahead and open a blank presentation. We're gonna start from the very beginning here. Delete everything on your screen, so you don't need anything there. All right, so we're in PowerPoint, blank canvas. Go get your photo, and this time the file format doesn't matter. PowerPoint can handle all of them. So I'm gonna grab my HEIC file, drop that in there. Cool. And then on the design ideas bar, just close that just so you have a nice big image. And this is very straightforward, guys. It does get a little intricate in a minute, but when you drop the picture in there, and note, you need to have the image selected. And I have this new toolbar up at the top with this remove background option up in the top left. Now I say, remember, you have to have the image selected. If I click off the image, you see that toolbar went away. So make sure you have the image selected. And if it's not automatically, go to the picture format toolbar and click remove background. So let's do it. Okay, so PowerPoint took a crack at it and tried to remove what it thinks is the background from the image. And remember, this is not a photo editing tool, so it's guessing for the most part. But that's okay. We have some options to fine tune this. You can see in the top left, this is the result, and you can see it thinks I'm a floating head with no body. I kind of like my body, so we're gonna try to fix that. So look right above that, you see a couple options. Mark areas to keep, to remove, you can discard or keep the changes. So this is simple. We're gonna click on mark areas to keep, and this gives us a little pen. Now, if there are any shaded areas, you see all the areas that are shaded purple, those are what PowerPoint thinks is the background, and it's gonna remove those from the image. So mark areas to keep, we're gonna take it, we're gonna color in the areas we want it to keep. Okay, so there, it took some of my body. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. Now this is, like I said, it's not a perfect tool, but you can see it's doing its best. It's actually doing a pretty good job. Over my left shoulder, it found the edges quite nicely. So let me color my shirt in a little more. Okay, gotta get the bottom here. Okay, there we go. Now it figured out I want my entire shirt. Now, okay, some things happened and it changed what it thought is the background. So we just gotta keep fine tuning it until we're done. Okay, now that side looks pretty good. Get rid of over this. Okay, now it took care of that side, and then a little bit up here, a little bit on the blue. There, that looks pretty good. Okay, so you see the result in the top left. I can see the brim of my hat is still gone, so I gotta color that in a little bit. Try that again. Oh, I'm still on mark areas to remove. We wanna put that back. Remember to switch back, mark areas to keep. So, okay. Color the brim of my hat. There we go, that's back, and just a piece of my cheek. Okay, there, that looks pretty good. Now, even if you're not sure it's perfect, you can hit keep changes, and we can always Control Z to undo. So go ahead and keep changes, and boom, it removes the background. And I think that looks pretty good. That did a pretty good job. See, very easy, PowerPoint. Last thing I would do here, if you're going to use this image, which, you know, if it come out pretty good like this one, then you, by all means, go use it, is you can crop it just to make sure all this transparent background area, it's not usable space, so just to make this a little smaller, done. And then last thing, right click on your picture and go to Save as Picture. And this is just going to give you an option to save this somewhere on your computer. I'm going to throw that over my downloads folder, picture one. And there's picture one with no background. There you go, PowerPoint, who knew? Okay, and now we're going to jump into the pro level. This is for those of you that have bought some premium software to do some photo editing. You can do this I use Pixelmator Pro on my Mac. But you can do this also in Photoshop, Lightroom or Photoshop, Adobe Lightroom or Adobe Photoshop, or even any other photo editing software similar to that. These features are pretty universal across the board. I prefer Pixelmator Pro. It's a pro level photo editing software at a less than pro level price point. So on the Mac, this only costs 40 bucks. And it's got a lot of features built in. It's also optimized for the new M1 processors. So I'm just gonna go click on my file, open with Pixelmator Pro. Okay, here we go. So we have that open now, and the tool we're gonna use inside of Pixelmator Pro. If you're not familiar with Pixelmator Pro, you have your image file in the middle, and then all of your tools are on the right. And Pixelmator Pro, Adobe Photoshop, Lightroom, they all work similar. You work with layers. So you can see in the top left, we only have one layer, and that's the image we have here. If we were to add text, or we can put another image on top of this and start merging things, we can add multiple layers. And we're gonna see that in a minute. So the tool we're gonna use on the right is, let me move my floating head here. We're gonna use the quick selection tool. That's a little one, looks like a marker. This is essentially a crop tool. So there's other crop tools here. You can crop in a shape or freeform, but obviously I am neither the shape of a rectangle, and drawing around my body is going to be kind of difficult. So I'm going to use the built-in quick selection tool. And what this does is similar to how Photoshop tried to guess the background of the photo. This is using colors and the contrast to determine sections of the picture. So you can see when I move my mouse cursor into the image, it is highlighting things yellow, and it's doing this based off of their color. Now, to select myself, you gotta hold down the mouse button. We're gonna click and drag until I've selected all of the image that I want to keep. So I'm gonna start in the bottom right, click and hold the mouse. I'm just gonna go along. And you can see how well this does recognizing the edges of the image. And if you need to get that edge of the image, you just go a little closer. Try not to go over so the selection doesn't spill over to the part of the image you don't want. I like to first go around the outside to try to build a border, and then just color in the middle. So I'll get my ear, my hat. Okay. Another tip while I'm doing this that helps remove backgrounds in this tool, or any of the tools that we've covered, is contrast. So if you're taking a picture against a background that has a very dark contrast, that's going to help you with any software tool that's going to remove the background. If I was wearing a black shirt like this and my background was black, it would be very difficult to remove myself from the background because there's no contrast, right? So that's why people use green screens, for example. Okay, so I finished coloring in the part of the image I want to save. I'm pretty happy with the edges. We can fine tune those yet. Go ahead and let go, and you see now with the dancing line that the image is now selected. And if we had any part of that spilled over to the background or didn't capture part of my shoulder or something, we can simply refine and either add or subtract any section that we think maybe need a little fine tuning, and then just apply. Now, we're not done yet. We've selected the part of the image we want to keep, but now we need to remove the background. So on the selection, we're going to right click and copy and paste as layer. Now in the top left, you'll see now we have two layers. We started with the one, but now we have two. And if you can turn these off, so as you're editing, you can see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go to my background layer. That was our original layer with the entire picture. And I click on this little eye. It's going to hide the background, and I'm left with just the layer that I cropped. Perfect. I think the result looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this layer. I'm going to hit escape so that it unselects, and this is our result. So I'm still in Pixelmator Pro. There's one last step. I'm going to trim the canvas. So I showed you in PowerPoint how we cropped it, so to get rid of some of the background transparency. In Pixelmator Pro, if you go up here on the three dots and then trim canvas, it's going to automatically detect the parts of the image you want. You can fine tune this again based off of color or whatever. I use this and then hit OK, and there you go. So it just trims up everything nice and tight for us. And then the last thing, to make this a usable picture for us, we just need to export it. So File, Export. Choose the format you want to export in. You have all kinds of options. You can go back to your HEIF if you want. PNG, JPEG are more popular. We're going to call this, sure, Thumb1, and we're going to put it in our Downloads folder. Export. I'm going to close that, and thumb1.png. And there we go. And now the image is, the background is gone. Well, that's the video today, guys. I hope you got some value out of this background removal tutorial. If you did, be sure to let me know. I'd appreciate it by drop me a comment down below or hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and go check out this video right here. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.